I don't know the people of the fourth estate, what is this being described as government, as bad governance? When is it bad when you are having the instrument of governance put in place when they are not, or when they were not there? That's one question. Number two, the chairman has alluded to various projects implemented, and in the next 1 week, I'm going to have a media day. I want to take you around this particular institution. You see yourselves, all the facilities which have now been completed, as the chairman said, have been financed through internally generated revenue. We don't have any loan at all, as I'm speaking today. So I'd like to get clearly that this facility have been financed from internally generated revenue. And this one, you are going to get it. The doctors who are admitting staff having the rights here, they are not forced to admit patients here. They have a choice. They can either admit patient to Nairobi, Matos, or anywhere. So the issue of the doctors going on strike does not arise, because if they don't bring patient here, they're not going to make revenue. That's the position. So if they decide to take patients outside there, that's their own responsibility. But we have they are having given rights which can be withdrawn at any time. That's the position. And whenever they are joining the institution, they are having rules and regulations which they are to follow. Lastly, the doctors themselves, up to around 2020, the doctors were not being paid twice. Those who work here or carry out services here, right now we are paying them twice a month, on 15th and on 30th. So we don't know probably what it means by having good governance. Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thanks, Nyamong. Use the staff, executive staff. You realize they cover the face of Kenya, from Lake Victoria to the Indian Ocean. And I think falsehoods eventually point to the point that the truths are always set you free. And we are not covering anything. I want now to tell you two things. Number one, there are three events that are happening or going to happen in the current. A requisition for a special economic meeting, which was supposed to happen on 18th of September at the Radisson Blue. I'm privileged to report that by today morning, this institution, KHA, have received an injunction against that event. And for this, those of you who are on the Nation, can you rate up your Nation media? The Nation media have made a mistake, maybe they didn't know. They have advertised it on mainstream Nation media that the requisition is happening and there is a strike tonight. I want to assure you that when there is an injunction, we are a country governed by the law. When there is an injunction, you respect the injunction. And when you go for inter-parties hearing, if you have reasons, that requisition will be implemented. But as of now, it's dead on the table. So the nation should note, I don't want the nation to get what you call, what the contempt of court. We must respect the court. So that's where we are. Number two, and saying that doctors, the hospital is on strike tonight, that's also a falsehood, because as I came here in the morning, before I came to this press conference, I passed through A&E, accident and emergency. It is full, and we have reduced what we call TAT in medical care. TAT means turnaround time. When we came here, this team, turnaround time was 8, 9, 10 hours. You come and sit there. Before you go to the ward or you go home, you have spent 10 hours. Today, and I want to support the CEO that when you have a moment, CEO will take you around the facilities of this hospital. Today, turnaround time, before I came here, I talked to Dr. Baya, who is the A&E emergency doctor. He told me, Chairman, these days is from 45 minutes to worst case scenario 1 hour, depending on what is being done on you. Because we are very thorough in making sure you go home better than you came here. The turnaround time for Nairobi hospital is between 45 minutes and 1 hour. From 10 hours when we came here with my brother Herman. So when we say we are doing a good job, we know we're doing a good job. On 18th, the same day they wanted the requisition, there is another event. The owners of the hostel, Kenya Hostel Association, what they do, and there will also a free camp, medical camp, within the institution, where you will come and get lifestyle checks, free of charge. We are not charging. And if you are media and you come here, you will have the privilege of also your fundamentals being checked. Because the biggest problem in this country is that we wait. For instance, prostate cancer. People go to discover that they have prostate cancer when it is at stage 4. Normally, when you are at stage 4, you are fighting for survival or going to palliative care. Palliative care means the family wants to make you comfortable so that you die quietly and presently. But when you do these open days, you can check and you'll be told you have a possibility of having prostate cancer. Can you take action? Can you change your diet? Can you come to your doctor every 3 months? And several other things. Ladies and gentlemen, the last one, I want to tell you, is a function happening on 27th of September. That's our function. The notice, official notice, has gone out through the company secretary. And the official, that day is for members, owners of KHA, including the doctors who are grumbling. They are allowed to come there. And the company secretary gave them an opportunity and said, this is a standard AGA agenda. But in the event that any of you, as an issue which is burning in your heart and you want to expose it, you write to the company secretary within 14 days and say, I want this to be discussed. That's why I thought, because that's the law, that's why I thought anybody who is aggrieved or who thinks that the hostel is on its dead bed can raise that issue. It is discussed by the owners and a resolution is taken. You can't just have a meeting outside the law. And we were given the privilege, all members, when a company secretary. Can you explain legally what that meant before I open for questions? It's important you get this information. Brief, 30 seconds.
Kenya Hospital Association have a right to notify the company secretary within 14 days of publication of the notice convening the annual general meeting. They can propose any business, special business, that they would like discussed and deliberated at the annual general meeting. And this business is not limited to the standard items. They have scope to raise areas of concern, areas of reform, so that once they deliver the notice, members will be informed. That is what it means. Thank you, Chairman.
Well put. And that shows you that we have nothing to hide. We've given anybody who has an opportunity, who feels better, everything don't want you. You can't stick. So we have a vent. We have an open vent for those who are disgruntled to get their expectations met democratically. Having said that, it's now my privilege to open the floor to you, but kindly keep the questions to verification or clarification of what we have said. And maybe I'll make them, who is your captain? Is it Antino or who? We make it 5 questions, reasonable questions. Thank you. Out there.
My question is,
is being accused?
The board is being accused that it illegally cancelled a contract, an ICT contract.
It did what?
It illegally cancelled an ICT contract.
Yeah.
That was crucial for the hospital. My question would be, why did the hospital need a new ICT system? What is the true price tag of this ICT system? At the same time, why was it necessary to cancel it? Lastly, there has been an accusation of the board that you've been using external legal services that are priced exorbitantly. Is that the true position? What is do you have figures of how much in the past financial year you spent on legal services outsourcing?
Thank you. I will answer that straight. First, ICT contract. I want you to know that when a matter is in court, you don't discuss it. It's illegal, and I don't want to violate areas which I might. But since I'm the chairman of the board, I want to assure you that this board did the right thing for members of KHA and members of the public, because when you come here as a patient and the money is misspent, the prices will go up, so you will not benefit. So we canceled that contract in our opinion, because we are the defendants legally, and we are facing them in court. And that's why we took a lawyer. Otherwise, if these people didn't bring a contract which was inadequate, which was illegal, we would not have hired a lawyer. And for your information, this board, when we came on board, with my privilege as being elected chairman, we consulted as a board, and we found out that if this contract is implemented, it will be disastrous to the institution. Why? Because the one which is currently now being used was a petition issue. That's why some of us came in this board. We were told one of the points we don't want the board to do is to use a contract which steals money, leaks money from the hospital. As we are sitting here, it's leaking money. So they told us, you change it. And the other aspect, they said, you have not paid, the board has not paid doctors. You make sure that doctors get paid. We came from 3, 4, 5 years to twice a month from what the CR said. So we implemented what the owners of the institution wanted. For this computer, this board said, this is an expert in ICT. This board said, and we got a consultant to look at the system, and it said you cannot reconcile your figures with this computer. You either get a new one or you allow people to steal money. And we said we must implement that ICT program. But when we started implementing, things happened which I can't mention because it's a court order. But when I came in as chairman of the board, I listened to the cries of the stakeholders, and we told our board, how now can we get out of this quagmire? And each board member individually, including the vice chairman of the board, all of them said, cancel it, and let's start a new system, which we have started, which they are trying to stop, because they put an injunction to stop ICT procurement. Luckily enough, it was lifted, and we started getting a system. God willing, with all this negligence, there will be problems, but I believe at the end of the day, the truth will prevail. That's the ICT problem, and I don't want to talk about lawyers' fees, because I'm not a lawyer, and I don't want my company secretary to talk too much, because it may be contempt of court. When a thing is in court, we don't discuss it. But in the fullness of time, you will know the truth. That's ICT. Pardon?
The price tag of that tender.
The price tag of that tender, those are now the details which I can be accused of releasing something which is in court. But you know the truth is this. The reason why we canceled that tender, number one, there were issues which I don't want to disclose because I don't want to be quoted. because it's a matter in court. And I'm sure you are soon going to know the price tag of that tender, because when we are in court, it's a public case. In fact, if I were you, I can go and get those details from the court. You people know how to get information. And I can tell you, if you find that I was part of that price tag, I will walk to committee. I will not wait for the askari to come and arrest me. I will say I'm a thief as a judge, committee. So let's not talk details about that price tag. The thing I want, and the lawyers have explained to you, there is what you call advocacy remuneration. You should go to is it the Attorney General or the Chief Justice? Yeah, when Cabinet Secretary tell them that there is nonsense called a price tag, that we threw money at the lawyers, because the lawyers will explain why they're charging A or B for case D or case Y. And for you to understand this thing, the Cabinet Secretary, within a minute, you can tell them what the problem is. You want this? I switch on mine, you switch on yours.
Thank you, Chairman. A going concern, just like the media houses you come from, does encounter issues from time to time which require legal intervention. And the kind of legal issues that we have did not start last year or the year before last year. They have been there for decades. But when they come and when they accrue, they have to be addressed. And about charges by lawyers, there is a law governing the charging of legal fees by lawyers. This law is issued by the Chief Justice of Kenya under the Advocates Act. So the Chief Justice issues an advocate's remuneration order that sets out a scale by which lawyers should charge their fees, and that is guided by the value of the subject matter, the importance of the subject matter, the time involved, the volume of documents involved, and all those factors combined is what inform what lawyers charge. And should they overcharge, there is a remedy by anyone who is aggrieved through a process known as taxation of bills by advocates. Therefore, the allegation that the charges have been out of the norm is a falsehood and can actually be established through a legal process. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Governor Secretary. We have a very brilliant lawyer. You must accept that. Now, aware that you also have timelines for the media, but I want to assure you that the reason the decisions are raising that issue is that we cancelled this contract when, without participating, we got 3 forensic auditors, top accountants, and top business advisors. NS and Young did the forensic audit twice. Grant Thornton did the forensic audit once, and they all concurred that this system you are using is rotten. This system that is being procured now is even worse. It's not rotten, it's in the dustbin. So as a board, you go forward knowing the facts. And we had a retreat in Nanyuki, Mount Kenya Safari Club, and all the directors were there. Those directors, in quotes, no names, who wanted that computer, they didn't want us to go to court. And we said, we must go to court, because if we have been sued, we need to, we were sued. When you are sued, see you defend. So we got a lawyer who went to court, and we stopped that process legally, and that's why some people out there are struggling because the pork is out of the pot. I don't want to talk more about that. Thank you so much. I want my vice chairman to support this.
Is there any journalist question?
A serious question.
Maybe
Yeah.
and Citizen TV. That's all I'm making, sir.
And Nation Media, you have my sentiment. You had it. Take it to your boss. Buona Vice Chairman, you have the floor.
No, they're asking a question, bro.
Question. My name is Linex. So I have a question on the disputes between you and the KG. Clearly there is a dispute between the board.
Pardon?
Is a dispute. Okay, I'm talking about the dispute that is.
Help her.
Okay, I want to talk about.
You know, if we didn't have, our theaters will not be full, our air and accident emergency will not be full, number one. Number two, a correction. There is no dispute between the KHA and the board, because the board reports to the KHA. There is only a small dispute of very few people who are aggrieved because they wanted to get some money. Some of them may have gotten money in advance, and the owner of the dog told them, now that it is stopped, we want our money back. And maybe they have eaten the money. This is the problem. The KJ are the ones we are defending here today. Because, take me anywhere, and I said, they even said that I'm the one who did the computer. I was not part of the procurement process. The people who are part of the procurement process are out there fighting. They are less than 10, but they have loud mouths. They talk too much. Because they talk, we don't talk. This is a second interview I've given. I've never talked since this thing said. They talk, and we say, in Kenya, we have several tribes, but most of them say, a frog making noise in the river never stops a cow from drinking water. And that's the position here. There are frogs out there making noise, the cow is still drinking water. What do I mean by that? It's an analogy. We are focused on the price. The price is make sure that our patients come here and they go home happy. That's our focus. Both the management and the board. We don't want side shows. And you've never seen me replying the social media. I don't, because I don't even understand social media. So what I'll tell you is that there is no dispute between KHA and the board. Because we belong to KHA, we report to them, on 27th, we appear before them, they either throw us out or they endorse us to do another term. It's as simple as that. But if you are a doctor, a consultant, and we have given him the privilege to practice here, and then you say you are going on strike, excuse me, do you even know the English language? The only person who strikes is your employee. The consultant is not our employee. You just say, Nairobi Hospital is on its deathbed, let me practice at Umoja Clinic, Dandora Clinic, AJAABU, MP Shah, Nairobi. There are several options. Once you think that this hospital is not doing a good job, you have the freedom to walk out. But once you insist to stay here, you know there is something you want from here. Because the CEO said he pays them twice a week, twice a month, on 1st and on 15th. There are very few hospitals. I don't want to talk about our peers, because in healthcare we don't have competition. We have peers. Because when you have an emergency, you can even call a doctor from AJAABU, from MP Shah to come and sort out. We work together, and we even share patients. We normally say your hospital can be 110% full. What do you mean by that? When you have more patients, the flow of 10%, we ring Coptic, we ring AJAABU, we ring MP Shah and say our beds are full. Can you take the overflow? That's when you say, and we have been on 110%. In this year, actually, was it in March, Madam Director of Nursing? In March, we did 110%. And that's the time these people were saying, we are not running the hospital properly. Can you get 110% when you are not running it properly? So the patients we offload are patients whom we don't have a bed. Like in North Wing, the one I told you, the VIP unit where heads of state come, you don't get a bed. You fight to get a bed there. And it's very expensive, but for the people who can afford, they fight for it. So I've corrected you. It's not KHA. There's a few members there below 10. Kindly. Thank you. And I think now, after you, I'll give my vice chairman to round up, we close the press conference. I hope you are satisfied. Thank you. Pardon?
One question, what are the measures we put in place to ensure that the doctors are not striking?
Are not?
Are not going on strike and patients are safe. I'm sorry for talking about that because I was at the place. And number two, the accusations that the board has been using the courts to extend their lifetime.
Thank you. Thank you. If we were extending our lifestyle, 27 wouldn't happen. I am the one who ordered the company secretary to put a date for the annual general meeting to face the owners. And when we face the owners and they want to throw me out, I will not object. That's number one. Number two, you have said something which I already answered, Mani. I said consultants are not on strike. They are not on strike. Our doctors, our medical officers are not on strike. Like now, you can walk to anyone or go to A&E. A&E is the best example. The doctors are working around the clock. The nurses are working. The radiologists are working. Because as a patient, you want to go home knowing you are well. And we are protecting them. We have measures and activities to protect them. And if you come here to make life difficult, we can also use the knife. But we normally don't use the knife. We normally use the carrot. So what I want to assure you, Mani, when you come to the Nairobi hospital, as I was walking here for the press conference, I met a few consultants on the line. 6 o'clock, they were here operating. And they told me, one of them told me, this nonsense, these people maybe they have no patience, they are jealous, they want the hospital to die. There is no question of doctors going on strike. The architecture of this hospital, I told you, was that we give consultants a privilege. When we think that is going to add value. If you are not adding value, the CEO can offload you. Am I right or wrong? If you are not adding enough, in fact, even the board doesn't interfere. The chief executive officer will either suspend you or terminate your services here. And remember, we said admitting staff association. They are called staff because they don't report to the board. They report to the CEO. We are a bit higher than them. But a good doctor, we protect him. A good consultant, we protect them. Like these people, the genesis of this, because it's in the court, we can't talk about it, is the CEO suspended a few doctors, 10, and they went to court. And they got an injunction to continue working as the case ends. And they are scared that when the case starts, you know, an injunction is temporary. When you go into parties, thank God we go to inter-parties, and they are found they are wrong. If the ruling is against them, that's why they are panicking, like other chicken. This man will now terminate their rights to admit in this hospital. I hope you are understanding that architecture. But it doesn't mean their rights will end. They will practice still in that hospital. And there's something I want to tell you called conflict of interest. Some of these doctors who are fighting here, they are chairmen for Medical Advisory Council in Nairobi West. They are chairmen in the Kenyatta University Hospital. When you have a conflict of interest, that's why everybody hates conflict of interest. Your presentations are questionable. Thank you, Mami. I hope I've answered you. Yeah, we have medical doctors who work for us, who can go on strike, and we have consultants who are not under our armpit. Thank you so much. And I allow my vice chairman to vent a bit, then we finish this session. Karibu, my brother.
Chairman, I wanted just to, what is going on is not a legal process as such. We are talking about people who would want to replace the board, but without following the normal legal process. Because the board which is there can be replaced following legal channels. And I want to submit here that those who are the brain behind the requisition are so scared following the normal legal process of replacing the board members. And therefore, what they've been trying to do is actually to overthrow the board.
Illegally.
Illegally. That is number one. And once again, brothers and sisters, the truth will come out one day. Number two, talking about the ICT system. As we move on, ladies and gentlemen, let us keep on waiting for the truth to come out. And the day the truth will come out, you will discover that these people in this board are very innocent. It would have been suicidal for the board to accept the system that was being recommended. In fact, would have committed a very serious crime, sitting on this board and allowing the wrong ICT system to come in. As time goes on, I request you to try and find out how the current ICT system we are using came in, so that you have a system that is controlled outside this country and managing activities that are within the hospital. Once again, being an old man, I'm saying once again, the truth will come out one day. We are talking about huge resources. And let me tell you, some people are fighting the current board simply because they feel we are stopping them from getting what they feel is theirs. Because ICT system is very costly. But as a board, we have sacrificed ourselves, we have sacrificed our names. Lies have been told. Lies, coming from hell itself. We have been accused of conflict of interest, for example, Chairman. I've never been a contractor in my life. I should have become a contractor perhaps when I was DO, DC, PS, or even principal of Kenya Utalii College. I've never been a contractor. But these demonic forces would want to believe I am a contractor, which is really terrible. I'm finishing by saying this. It's good you came, Mr. Chairman, and it's good you take Mr. Anyantino's document. It contains all the answers to the questions that you are raising. We wish the liars God's salvation so that they may repent for the sins they have committed to this nation. You cannot destroy an institution like this one. You cannot lie about an institution like this one. Just follow the legal processes and get to the power. Finally, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm saying it, and I'm sure Chairman will agree with me, we shall not die if we cease being board members. We have been bigger things before. In fact, we are sacrificing. So for people to keep on talking about us struggling to remain members, extending our tenure and so forth and so on, that's not true. Once again, Antino's document will give you information about what improvements we have done here. And I think it would be wrong for us not to commend the CEO because he has done a lot in terms of facilitating corporate governance in this institution. There are no policies, there are no guidelines, there are no corporate guidelines to allow us to do the right things, but he has managed to do it with the support of the board. Chairman,
Thank you. Thank you, my brother. And as we wind up, I was surprised that you didn't ask me a question about one of the issues these people are talking about, overseas borrowing. And I can tell you, and the CEO said it, all along, we have been operating with our own funds. But when you want to move a step faster, you want cheap funds which will not affect your cash flows. That's why we say, locally, we did a lot of investigation locally. Currently, the interest rates are 21, 23 per annum. And we said, if we want big money to bring things which are expensive for you, Kenyans who want to become untreated here, PET scan, bone marrow transplant, MRI, artificial intelligence, such that you diagnostic procedures are done accurately. We don't have that money. If we use our current resources to do that, including the ICT system, which is above $1 billion or 1.23 billion, you will not pay suppliers for drugs, for small things, consumables, and then we go bankrupt now that they claim that we are bankrupt. Now we are not bankrupt. But if we continue using our internal funds, we'll close shop. So we say, if you get big money, we've even been supported by the American government. They are trying to do a research to find out how they can help us. We will get money, long-term credit at cheap cost to run these things as our normal operations are going on. Logic. Umepata hiyo. And the other thing I must mention as you walk out, the COVID center. The COVID center was built by this board. The COVID center saved people worldwide. We saved more people than New York, which is a top hospital. The World Health Organization and the United Nations Organization who gave us the money, they gave us $1 billion, we used 870 million. We saved. And because of that, they gave us a donation of a machine called the ECMO machine, which the doctors tell me, I'm not a medical doctor, me, I'm an academic doctor. They told me that when you have an ECMO machine, it is a heart-lung dialysis machine. It is not a kidney dialysis machine. Very expensive. We had to train an expert to run it in this hospital, and increasing those facilities, and actually they gave us accommodation. The UN and the WHO gave Nairobi also recommendation. We built the COVID hospital with that UN money within 90 days, a project of $1 billion, 90 days. So you see, they are jealous that we are doing good things. So people, when you go out, also support the truth. Don't support the board, just support the truth. Asante sana.